First story. She cheated for cheap. Reflections on why she did it. You know, I see a lot of videos on here about cheating. She's cheated for more money. She cheated for looks. She cheated because he was exciting. My long-term WW had a year-long affair that was insanely sexually charged and became physical duck in the office pantries. I'm in the same field as this guy, but I'm way higher up. Super fit, successful, loyal. I've done my best to give her the whole package materially and emotionally. I'm not trying to be arrogant, it's just the truth. I was 100% for her. The guy she cheated on me with was a coworker of hers, and he has a low position, has kids, little pudgy, shorter, like not a lot going for him besides good hair. Their relationship seems to have started with them shit-talking each other when they first started working together, that led to these tiny hangouts in dead space that escalated. He did some crazy push-pull mind thing that made her chase apparently. I can't wrap my head around how this happened. This dude was literally bringing her food and gifts at work constantly and getting things from her that I have never even seen. She was sneaking around and lying constantly for this dude. At one point when I first found out, she professed deep feelings for him and questioned our marriage. At that point I was just totally blindsided. Although now it's all about love we have in staying together, and she's so sorry. She desperately wants kids and this dude couldn't even have them. Like, even now with some space from it. All she says, she doesn't know what she was thinking and doesn't understand how she saw him that way, and it was a huge mistake. But a freaking year. Full-blown everything affair for the last half year at least. Everyone says when this happens, work on yourself. I never stopped working on myself. There's nothing more that I can do. I'm semi-disappointed that it wasn't someone better than me at least. Someone make it make sense. Midlife crisis? Never had a single problem our whole marriage. Was it boredom? That would be insane. Update. Ended allegedly about 2 months ago. Obviously trust is gone, but we have tracking and a bunch of other steps in place now while I decide if I want to stay long-term. Because he moved to a different building a few months ago, and part of her reasoning for all of this was that I was keeping her career behind by moving multiple times for my work. He for sure was funny and charming for her. She basically said at first she was annoyed, but it made the days go by faster. To answer the tough question as to why, it's a number of factors that play into my wife cheating that when seen in hindsight make a lot more sense. The wife becomes complacent in the marriage. She's getting her support and primary needs met. She takes you for granted as I'll always be there no matter what. But then she starts to wonder what she's missing elsewhere. She has a bit of insecurity because she's getting older, her self-esteem takes a hit. Typical 30-year-old midlife doubts about their choices. Maybe you're not as an attentive partner as used to be. Our marriage hits a slow spot as all do, and her mind wanders. She's bombarded by seeing her single friends out hooking up all the time and having fun. She's flooded with social media posts about how great life as a single woman is. She starts to reminisce about her single days and begins to think she's missing out. This is where she starts paying more attention to her appearance, goes on a diet, and starts looking for that glow up. She wants her mojo back. That first guy that comes along and validates her, pumps up her ego, triggers something, and she responds more out of curiosity than from desire. It doesn't matter who that guy is or what he has going on, what he looks like, etc. All that matters is he gave her attention that was from someone whom doesn't have to. Unlike I'm the husband. It's often said, women cheat down, and it's because that one guy that gives her validation is the guy she gets involved with. Happens all the time. In no time her ego boost turns into a slight flirtation, and that transforms into an emotional connection. That emotional connection deepens, and in short order an affair is in full swing. She sort of fall into it. She know it's wrong, and she know that if they're found out, their lives are over, so to speak. But once they crossed the Rubicon, there's no reason to turn back. They're already beyond all reasonable boundaries, so they simply go for it and hope for the best. That's why she has basically admitted this. She liked that she could get him to do whatever for her and liked the power she had over him. Eventually, obviously, it went both ways though. Yeah, not at all. Guilt? I started feeling terrible about the deception. I started to wake up a bit and realized I needed to stop my downward spiral. I never intended for things to get like this, but I was an idiot playing with fire. I couldn't believe how out of control I'd gotten. Maybe AP met her randomly at the store and chatted her up. I shouldn't have even accepted this, but I ended up giving her up. I figured that was the end of it. Then she texted me a day or two later and things just begged from there. I didn't honestly think she'd ever contact me. She knew what she'd done. I was considerably older than her, but that was just the first of a string of really bad choices. I'd never cheated by anyone before. I realized that I had sunk so low. It scared me how I kept crossing line after line. I guess I worried that if I continued, who knows what else I'd have done. Originally was gonna take it to the grave. But guilt overwhelmed and she not confessed a few weeks after I figured it out. Handed over everything. I think I scared myself how far I was going and doing things I'd never dreamt I'd be doing. Previously, I think my WW is having the same feelings that I did. From the convos they had, she tried to end it multiple times, but they always reconnected after space tension, and she resisted the PA portion for a long part of it. I'm glad that I admitted it. My sticking point is that I caught on to it and then it went on for another months where she said she had stopped, but still had contact with AP before I basically blew it wide open with proof, and then it ended. Yeah, it was the strangest thing because I'm normally in control and don't have that issue. But I was just going crazy. Honestly, is prob what saved us. I just bit the bullet and came clean. Dealt with the consequences of their actions. That's the only way to go. Now AP never stalked her for almost a month, so that brought some peace. Or she'd send nudes knowing my wife was monitoring everything. But not lying helped a lot. At least she could have some starting point to rebuild things. I think that my WW and I finally got to mostly honesty. Not in the way that I would have liked, but we got there. I am just worried AP he will pop back up and she will go. I did the right thing and I'm really proud of myself biting the bullet to come fully clean. Cheaters have no idea the doors that open when that happens and the forgiveness that it allows. I know that my wife's AP will pop back up. I just don't know how she will address it. Second story. My wife is being sketchy and doing things we would both consider cheating. I feel like I can't trust him. What should I do? Me, 33M, and my wife, 32F, have been together for 7 years and married for almost 3 years. She's done things that I've considered cheating since about the 5th month into our relationship. She would get on dating sites and chat apps and talk to guys telling them that they are sexy and asking to see dick pics of them. She's had relationships with several different guys, sending and receiving nudes, topless selfies, and striking up conversations, all while lying to my face about it. Then when I find out, she would gaslight me and say she didn't know what I was talking about. She's even had sketchy relationships with some of the coworker and or her boss so-called buddies she's in the nightclub with, and she's lied to me about going out and being drunk with them and told me I was overreacting. I don't feel like I'm overreacting because she has a husband and a life at home. This happens every couple of months into our relationship. She's also rarely been physical with me. Several times in year 2 months before our wedding, a guy reached out and started asking me about my wife, and then proceeded to tell me that they met on a dating app and have been talking. My wife looked him up on Facebook and saw that she had surprised me at my bridal shower. And when the guy asked her if she was engaged, she told him no, and that her Facebook was old, and she doesn't even use it. She's told several guys that she wasn't in a relationship. This happened last November. We were married in December. Around April we started going through a rough patch. She was sleeping on the couch, and we were arguing whenever we saw each other and things were physical. She hit me every time when we argue, so I had to just stay away from her. Well, fast forward to now. She was away for her nightclub annual party event for 2 months. We left on great terms, I thought. We were happy and feeling all the love, and I felt like we were finally in a good place. Well, she comes home and I've got this icky feeling that I can't shake. I check her purse, found a few used condoms, and go through her phone to see her activities with other guys. About over 60 chats and dating apps, and was sexting to a bunch of guys calling them hot and sexy. When I confronted her about it, she told me that she was bored and just looking for a conversation. She told me she was just engaged these guys for more tips when they're clubbing. Which I know that's a lie, but she's sticking to her story. It's not like she didn't have people to talk to. And when I asked her to call me, she would wait until 11 at night and then be too tired to talk. One night she yelled at me that she didn't want to talk to me because she was so exhausted, but she had been out playing hot tub or pool with her nightclub buddies and clients every evening. I'm so upset and mad because we've just been so happy and actually feeling like us again, and she starts destroying it. I'm embarrassed and honestly pretty mortified. I feel like I can't talk to anyone about this because I'm so embarrassed, and I'm mad at her, but despite everything I still want to be with her. Is that crazy? What should I do? How can I trust her again? And what if this isn't the last time? I told myself that I'd never get divorced, and I really do love her. But I think the main thing holding me back is I'm afraid of what everyone else thinks about me, and I'm afraid of what people would say if I did leave. I'm not proud to admit this about my past, but I actually used to be like her when it came to downloading dating apps and chat apps to hide my indiscretions, and I would gaslight my previous partner, and ultimately I was a real mess. It took me getting arrested for something I'm not proud of to finally kick in that. I had a problem and an addiction that I had to get fixed. After several years of counseling and other stuff, that's when it came to light that everything was going to have to change, and ultimately I did change, and that was decades ago. But still learn, even if it was 10 years ago, I still learn about myself. Our relationship is ultimately doomed. She's never gonna change unless she gets forced into being changed, or she wants to change for herself. Nobody else can make her change. She's gonna need years of therapy to break that addiction, because what she's doing is an addiction, and she can't stop it. She stops for a couple months, maybe years, and then she goes right back to it. It's a cycle, and until something major drastic happens in her life, he won't change. Or she comes to the recognition that she has a problem, and that she needs to get help. But again, nobody's gonna be able to change that unless she's willing to. You ultimately need to just call it good, split ways. Sever ties, organize assets, divide everything up, playing our strategy, talk to a lawyer, cross all our T's and our I's, the whole, but it's never gonna work out. And I know I don't want divorce, but ultimately that's the only logical solution of this situation. I know some people have to learn the hard way, and unfortunately it is looking that way for my wife. The way she has acted, she deserves none of my love or effort I make towards our relationship. If I'm already having physical alterations, safety is in serious danger. And if I plan to build a future with this woman, think of the way she has treated me. Would I want her to treat our children the same way? Would I want our children to see our relationship and expect the same for themselves in life? Love is a beautiful thing, but it can also be a dangerous one as well. To let love control my mind is not love at all, but a virus making it act in ways I would never want a loved one to make excuses for another's actions as an illness. I must be careful. I aware watching bad behavior repeat itself, it will do it again and again. I know she has made no effort, yet me having to no avail. Our peace deserves so much more. I urge to make a decision the next time she leaves on work event. Make arrangements to leave. I know it won't be easy but I'm in grave danger, and seeing only red flags, and if I do not address them I will be trapped. In relationships like these it only gets worse, and I have to be the one to address that. Please reach out and tell me without judgmency about living arrangements with them while I figure out independency. If I don't have someone like that in my Life, get a pet and an apartment, and won't tell my wife where I are fleeing to. I hope my therapist can help. And if not, I must be quick to other one someone to talk to while I work through my feelings, and let my body work on its independence. I believe in myself, and I know I deserve so much better. I hope I do the right thing. Third story. Wife infidelity. My wife just told me she had multiple affairs when she was working. In 2009, my wife began monthly travel, 1 or 2 nights per month. She also began drinking regularly and heavily around that time. In 2010, her boss began hitting on her and she never said anything. At home we had 3 young children, and by 2010, the drinking and alcohol abuse became an issue. In 2011, she cheated on me with her boss on one of the trips, and began an affair with him that took place during her business travel. It lasted 1 year, and even included a 3-way. Sometime in 2011, she had a lesbian one-night stand. Then she broke up with her boss for the CIO of her company. She had an affair with him for the next 4 years, ending in 2016. She was a full-blown alcoholic and was now traveling twice a month. Now 8 years later, 2 trips to rehab and sober, she is telling me, I always suspected something, and she tells me I deserve to know. She tells me there wasn't anything since 2016. Any thoughts? Update. Affair revealed. Reconcile? An update. I finally have the entire story and it is disturbing. I had no clue and am confused if I want to put more energy into reconciliation. My WS confessed to 2 separate affairs that ended 8 years ago. She was with one person from work and left him for another, and the cumulative cheating happened over 5 years. She was an alcoholic and is now sober. The confession just happened and I don't know if I can forgive her. At the time of the affair, she was a mother of 3. The actual affairs are disturbing. She had to travel monthly to the corporate HQ, and that is where and when the affair took place. She would drink after work, get dinner with everyone, the team, not just AP, and continue drinking at the bar. At the end of the night, the AP would say something like, "Let's hang out." She would go to his room and after, she would leave. Very little to no additional contact, and it was her boss. During sex he would belittle her, call her a DCKWHRE, SLTETC. She left the first AP and actually started the second affair with the CIO, the boss of her first AP. She told me she had a crush on him and felt so low and shamed that she was looking for some way to feel wanted. The pattern was the same. He would tell her to come to his room and have her leave when they were done. At the very end, the current AP had an apartment and he asked her to come over and get right to it. After he had her walk several blocks at night back to the hotel. It all ended that night. That was 8 years ago. I feel there was plenty of opportunities to ask for help. There was intent and ongoing effort to conceal. My WS left the company, has had no contact with either AP since, and I don't believe any other affairs since. However, I was able to see how terrible her addiction had become. I am trying to not make any overly emotional decision yet. During this time and after she quit, she was a terrible drunk, mean and always starting fights. I was about to leave her due to the alcoholism. She went into rehab twice, sober living, and is still in IOP and has 2 therapists. Now she is much more like the person I think I remember marrying, but the confession is a bombshell and I don't know if I can stomach it. Just looking for advice. Update. Crazy confession. Comments? My partner's 40th affair keeps getting more disgusting and confusing. This began with AP January 1st to December 2011. After having 3 children and becoming depressed, my wife started some heavy drinking. Her boss used extremely coercive tactics to bring her on monthly trips, 2 nights, which were drunk fests. The affair began on the trip. It quickly turned into a dom-sub situation with degrading name-calling during sex, incestuous role-playing, violent oral, finishing on her, bondage, threesome, forced touching in public, crazy requests, etc. He was monitoring her emails, and when she ended it sent her pics of his other women. She ended the affair by initiating another with his boss, which was a vanilla affair that lasted from 2012 to 2016. Still not completely normal in that he would call her to his room after she was drunk, and after it was over send her away. Not much else of a relationship. In one instance she fell in 2013 and broke her ribs in her hotel room. She called AP number 2 for help and to take her to the hospital. He tried to have sex with her, and when she told him no he left. He told her he can't take her to the hospital because he doesn't want to be seen with her. She had 3 broken ribs and a slight puncture to a lung. This ended late 2016. She blocked them, left the company, and hasn't had any contact at all since. She is now sober and confessing all of this, and I'm trying to wrap my arms around it. I can barely contain my rage and can't believe this was going on. She confessed but trickled the truth out over 3 weeks, changing the story and adding to it over time. She has been extremely remorseful and doing anything she can to support me since she confessed. Happy to hear any advice or thoughts.